Well, like every story, the Skibidi Multiverse has some moments where, if plot armor didn't exist, things would turn out way differently. Like in some instances where some characters literally came back to life just for the sake of the plot. But in this video, we are going to see what the world of the Skibidi Multiverse would look like if plot armor didn't exist. So, as we all know, the Skibidi Multiverse plot is so intertwined that removing plot armor from the storyline makes everything come crumbling down. Like, for example, right from the beginning, where we saw the scientist and G-Man fighting against the Clock Titan. Notice that when the Clock Titan used his chrono destruction ability, it only affected the toilets, instantly obliterating them. But guess what? Somehow the scientist and G-Man managed to survive. Well, that's plot armor right there, and removing these two crucial characters from the story would kill the entire plot, because the only reason the Alliance was constantly improving and upgrading their Titans was because of the scientist. So ultimately, if we follow the storyline without plot armor, a lot of things would not line up. The Titans would be so weak when Alpha invades, and the series would end almost abruptly. So instead of following the storyline, we're going to analyze each moment when plot armor intervened and see just how badly it would affect the story and the events that follow. And yeah, we don't know what to expect, so let's get right into it. The first moment is when we see the Clock Titan, and he stops the Magnet Mutant in time. But just as he's about to recover, he gets ambushed by the infected Camera Titan, and the battle is brutal, with each side holding their own. The Clock Titan tries to stop him in time, but fails, and that's what gives the Camera Titan the chance to attack him more ferociously. But then the Clock Titan suddenly loses it and clamps down on him, trying to pull the parasite out, which in turn decapitates him. But due to plot armor, the Clock Titan feels too emotional, and since we obviously need the Camera Titan for the plot, he uses his time reversal to revive the Camera Titan, although this would mean he'd still be infected with the parasite. However, in this scenario, the Clock Titan has no empathy, so he refuses to revive him. This would mean that the Camera Titan would not have existed for most of the series, and the scientist, seeing that the Camera Titan has been defeated, wouldn't try to risk coming to battle. So with this, the Alliance would have to retrieve the body of the Camera Titan, which would mean he'd take even more time to get fixed and upgraded, and this would not end well for the Alliance, as the odds of the Camera Titan getting saved would be pretty shallow because they'd have to build him right from the start, giving a huge setback to the Alliance. However, another important scenario is when the Alliance got a message about a secret Skibidi base, and they were planning to nuke the Alliance base. All forces had to attack this base, but as we saw in the series, all efforts by the agents to stop the nuke from detonating, even when the Speaker Titan was trying to press the nuke down, which I thought was kind of dumb, all efforts were in vain. The Clock Woman even had to buff up an agent to move like Flash, but he still couldn't get there in time. But in order for the plot to continue, guess what? Somehow, Mr. Clock came in the form of a mysterious drill agent, and boom, he stopped the nuke from detonating. Now, without plot armor here, I'm very sure the Skibidis would have targeted the Clock base. And this is very essential because nuking the Clock base means unleashing a hidden beast, the Sinister, into the wild, and that would mean the series ends instantly. I mean, the Titans are still in their base forms and are pretty much sitting ducks. The series ends with the Sinister having his perfect dominion, but thanks to plot armor, that was avoided. However, for an even more bizarre case, in the episode where we saw that the Skibidis had taken control over the Clock base, and Big Ben had been rigged with explosives, and the agents were fighting hard to protect the base and stop the tower from getting blown up, we saw that the countdown was made faster by a fake button on the detonator. But before the explosion could happen, the large Clockman, who seemed to have already maxed out his time stop ability, still found a way to use it to stop time just enough for the Speaker Titan to yank the explosive out of the tower. Now that's plot armor right there, and without it, the large Clockman would not have been able to use his abilities, and that means the tower would be destroyed, and the big boy, Sinister, would be free. And you know that at this point in the story, the entire Alliance would be cooked. Not even the Clock Boss would be able to reseal him. So yeah, plot armor saved the day there. However, for another bizarre instance, I think the future Clockman only had to exist for the plot to continue. Because if the Alliance didn't get the warning from him about the mysterious woman with him hypnotizing the alarm clock to take down the boss to buy time to get their Titan upgraded, just like we saw in the series, when Alpha and the scientist attacked the base, and the Titans tried to fight back to protect the base, she'd see the need to summon the Counter Titan. And when this happens, just like the future Clockman warned, they'd all get slaughtered mercilessly by the Counter Titan. And even if they managed to upgrade the Drill Titan, it wouldn't take long before the Counter caught up to him and, you know, smoked him too, bringing the series to an abrupt end. So yeah, once again, plot armor saved the day. Without it, GG's. For this next one, I think it doesn't change too much in the plot, but it's still worth mentioning, because without plot armor here, we could have lost one of our agents. Remember this scene? After the battle with the Counter Titan, the Alliance found out about the G-Man apocalypse, and the agents were in a high-speed chase with the Skibidis. We saw the assassin Drill Man kicking their butts, but one thing led to another, and the Speaker Woman got trapped on a train track, and there was a train approaching at full speed. Well, here, for the plot, obviously someone had to step in to help her out of that situation quickly, but without plot armor, damn. I guess that would have been the tragic ending of one of our beloved agents, but glad it didn't happen. But there's one that definitely would affect the plot. In this scene where the Clock Titan was immobilized by the Skibidis and the Titans stayed to help him clear out the location of threats, after they were successful in clearing the base and the other Titans had left, the Camera Titan was the last to leave. But before he could leave, some new weird-looking Skibidis teleported in, and the Camera Titan had no other choice but to fight against these minions too. But unknown to him, this is no ordinary battle, because in no time he was surrounded by the minions. And boy, I honestly felt that was the end for him, because they were literally ripping out shards of his body. Damn, that must be insane teeth they had on them. But plot armor did its thing. That was the exact time that the Speaker Titan decided to fall in and was able to save the Camera Titan from being eaten alive, and even gave Bro a good dance. If plot armor didn't exist here, well, that would have been the end of the Camera Titan for good, because there'd be no parts to even pick up after these minions were done with him. And not having the Camera Titan means more work for the other Alliance members, slowing them down significantly. However, this next one is just nuts. In the episode where Photoman took Bethany in and was taking care of her, we see that C-Pen somehow found their location and wanted to finish his job of clearing out the so-called human Skibidi toilet. But Photoman stood in his way, and despite all this, the emotionless C-Pen squashed Photoman and went after Bethany. And bro, the plot armor here is just crazy. Imagine, she ran into the bushes and C-Pen blasted heavy rounds of his machine guns into the bushes, and not even one bullet grazed her. Yeah, that's obviously plot armor in the works. Instead of the little girl, the crows took the fall. But here, if plot armor didn't exist, just like he did to her family, C-Pen would have taken down Bethany, which would have had a huge impact on the story. Remember that the only reason the commander is calling for a truce this early is because he found out his daughter was still alive, and he would have been more interested in tracking and taking down C-Pen than fighting for the Alliance. So yeah, plot armor averted that. Another thing plot armor averted was the Clock Titan remaining immobilized for a longer time. We saw in the series that the Clock Titan was still immobilized, and the Alarm Clockman was inside the Time Dome trying his best to disable the missiles. But before he could get it done, the commander realized that someone was probably down in the dome and went in to check. But just before he stopped the Alarm Clockman, boom! The future Clockman comes in from nowhere and saves the day, helping the Clock Titan to be free and the missiles disabled. So imagine if the future Clockman didn't interfere. Then, the Clock Titan would have remained immobilized throughout the entire war with the G-Man apocalypse, which is instant defeat for the Alliance. Another very interesting one is when we saw the Titans joining their core blasts together to attack the G-Man apocalypse. And bro wasn't having any of that, so he spat out a nuke on them, destroying the Titans to pieces. You'd think that's the end for the Titans, right? But guess what? And I think this is the greatest feat of plot armor in the entire story. The Clock Titan not only revived all the Titans, but restored them to full health. Yeah, talk about plot armor. And I'll show you that scene. Here, without plot armor, the Clock Titan would have still tried, obviously, but he wouldn't have been able to save them, leading to the loss of the Titans in the war, changing the story. I mean, the Clock Titan and Pencil Woman would have to find a way to fight against the threats themselves, which I guess would be total annihilation. But for the most questionable piece of plot that we still haven't gotten an answer to is, why the hell would Mr. Clock offer to boost Sinister? Bro just woke up and casually decided to wreak havoc around the multiverse. Boosting a beast like that? Well, I don't know if to call it plot armor because it didn't favor the Alliance, but it favored the villain. so maybe it's still plot armor. But if it didn't happen, then the Skibidi Multiverse would have been a more peaceful place. The Skibidis and the Alliance fighting against each other, and later realizing a bigger threat, then forming a truce to protect themselves. I guess the biggest pieces of plot armor and forces in the story are the future Clockman and Mr. Clock. Both are just working in mysterious ways to either help or bring the Alliance to their ultimate doom. However, check out this video to see why it sucks to be the Sinister in the Skibidi Multiverse. Unique Clockman out.